Okay, here we go again. I've done so many of these that I've forgotten which episode I'm on, but I know I'm still in the midterm review. We just did adding fractions in the last Heart Academy video, and this one I will share with you the subtracting fractions review. Again, I'm doing the videos in order of your midterm exam, things that you will see on the midterm exam, okay? And remember that each video accompanies a worksheet, so you can download the worksheet to the right of the link that you got the video from under My Lab, under Topics. Okay, so we're going to review what we have learned with subtracting fractions, and we actually started learning fractions before Thanksgiving. So it's been a while since you've seen the subtraction because we were currently, before midterm review, we're in multiplying and dividing. So the first thing I want to make sure is that we are clear with the easiest part of subtracting fractions, and that would be subtracting fractions that have like denominators and without whole numbers. So just for a second, I'm going to kind of change this into an easier looking fraction. So we're going to pretend these are not there. The changes I'm making to this worksheet are not the changes on the worksheet that you can download, because I didn't want to create a whole worksheet of the easier type problems when I'm just really jogging your memory about what to do when you have fractions that have the same denominator, okay? So fractions that have the same denominator and also a numerator that's that you don't have to borrow. If I left that at 3, we would end up borrowing, and we're not there yet, okay? So I'm just going to make this into a 7. So now we have the basic of subtracting fractions. Remember, with adding and subtracting fractions, you must have the same denominator before you can do anything. So this is why I chose to change it around a little bit to make it a more basic problem as a quick review. So once it has the same denominator, all I have to do is keep that denominator and then do the subtraction of the 7 and a 5, which would give me 2, right? And remember, whenever you can reduce, you must reduce. So there we go, okay? So denominator stays the same. Do the subtracting or the adding. Remember the previous video was adding. So I have 7 minus 5, which is 2/4, reduced over to 1/2. Easy, basic for the fractions. What happens if I had the 1 or a whole number in front of this, like this? Whole number here, no whole number there, okay? So easy again. Pretend this part is a 0, so I have 3 minus 0. This would be a 3. Let's say that I actually had a 2 right here. Not a problem. Whole numbers are separate. You can just subtract them as they are. 3 minus 2 would be 1. Okay? So don't forget, even though I'm using this version of it, it's actually 1/2 according to how it can be reduced. Okay? So those are the basic parts of adding the fraction. Now, I'm going to go through some of these, and I'm hoping that we will run into problems in which we have to borrow. And I'm writing that right here, just in case we don't. So if we don't, I'm going to change one of these problems around again to make it necessary for you to borrow, okay? So let me go ahead and clear this part out. Let's see. Go back to what we originally had. And we'll start from here. So the second phase of subtracting fractions is, what do we do when we subtract fractions that don't have like denominators? And just like we did for the adding of the fractions, I like to set mine up vertically so I can do my converting easier, for me anyway. Some people still like to set it up horizontally, and that's just a prerogative. So now we are looking at what number goes to 4 and 6 evenly, okay, without any remainder. So it can't be 2. Some of you are thinking 2. And look at this, okay? If you say 2, does that work? Does 4 go into 2? No, 2 is too small. Does 6 go into 2? No, 2 is too small. However, 2 does go into 4, and 2 does go into 6, but that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at a number that 4 will go into, not 2, okay? So if you're not sure, remember you can always use your multiplication chart. Looking under the column of 4 and 6 until we run into a number in which they both share. Notice 24 is the first number that they share. So we will use the denominator of 24. And 20. There's got to be a smaller one. I think there is. Oh, look at that. I totally missed it. 12. 12. Always use a smaller one. I thought there might have been a smaller one. So we'll use 12. Always use the smallest one that you can get. Okay. So now we divide just like we did in the adding fraction review. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Bring that 6 over. 6 goes into 12. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Bringing that 4 over. So 6 and 9 over 12 and 4 and 10 over 12. And so all we have to do here would be subtract, wouldn't it? Well, guess what? You can't take 9 from 10. Okay? Or 10 from 9, rather. Let's say, and this is an example that I used in class, I have $9 and I owe you 10. Can I do that? No. I'm going to have to borrow from somewhere. So what I'm going to do is rewrite everything that we're looking at now neatly, semi-neatly, over here. So I was looking at 6 and 9 over 12 and 4 and 10 over 12. Well, it's a good thing I already raised the word borrowing that's over here, because that's exactly what we're going to have to do. So we're covered on that one. Okay? Because again, if I have $9 and I owe you 10, can I do that? No, I'm going to have to borrow. So let's say I borrow from my daughter. If I borrow $1 from my daughter, this would change into a 5, correct? Now, the way I like to see you to show your work on paper, the one that you borrowed from my daughter, when you place it back into your problem, you must keep it as a fraction form by using the only denominator that you see. The only denominator that we see here is 12. So I have 12 over 12, okay? Why did I do that? Because any number over top of itself, like 12 over 12, equals 1, doesn't it? So look, the one that I borrowed, I put it over here, but I made it land as a fraction. And now that I have two fractions, my money plus the $1 that I borrowed from my daughter, I can put those together. All I need to do now is keep the bottom number the same. Add the numerator, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So really what I have is 21 over 12 thanks to the $1, the 1, I borrowed from my daughter. And now this changed to a 5, so I'm going to bring that right over. And I'm bringing my rest of the problem over so I can finally subtract. Okay, if I do this, I have 5 minus 4 is 1. 21 minus 10 is 11, keeping the same bottom number. There's your final answer. So remember, the first step, find a common denominator. Second step, see if you need to borrow. In this case, I did. When you borrow, make sure the $1 that you borrow is placed as a fraction, which also means 1. There's the $1 that I borrowed. Put your fraction mixed number back together, bring over the 1 you're subtracting, and do your subtracting, making sure your final answer is reduced. So this is the final answer to question number 1. All right. I have a few more moments left on this recording, so this is what I'd like for you to do now. And this is not on your sheet, but I realize there might be something that you will see on your test when it comes to that borrowing thing. Let's say that you had a fraction that looked like, not that, but this. Pretending that this one isn't here. And I will tell you, you do have one question in your test that's going to look like this. And if I turn it this way, remember going upside down vertically, I have a 6, no fraction, minus 4 and 5, 6. Please, 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 please. Remember that you have a problem that will look like this, okay? Here's the thing. this was not going to turn out as 2 over 5/6. Incorrect. When there's no fraction, you must put one there. How do I put one there? Borrowing, of course. Okay? So this is basically saying what we just did. You do not have enough money to take this away. So I'm going to borrow from my daughter. Change this to a 5. The dollar that I borrow from her, remember, you must land it as a fraction. So, same rule. What bottom number do you see? There's not one here, but there certainly is one here. So the bottom number you can use is a 6 over 6. You see how this is still 1? This is still that $1 I borrowed from my daughter. Okay? And now look what you can do. You can now subtract. I have a 6 over 6 and a 5 over 6, which will give me 1/6. 5 minus 4 is 1. If you did not see that concept, you need to go back and look at it again. Rewind until you get it, okay? And I'm going to leave this video right now, knowing that number 1 is completed. I'm going to start at part 2 of subtracting fraction review so that I can complete at least 3 more problems with you that are on the sheet that look like these. See you on the next one.